um, I felt like the message was applicable to trading. And the message was God ain't gonna give you what you're not prepared for, right? No matter how much you pray for it, it's about the preparation before that door opens up, right? And a lot of times, you think being a good person is enough, or you think, just, showing up and, hoping and wishing that's enough. But truth be told, it's the journey and it's the patience and it's the faith along the journey that actually makes you worthy of what it is that you desire. And I say that to say this. I had a mentor tell me it's two things that's going to stop you from being successful. And it's either doing the wrong thing or not doing the right thing long enough. Some of you guys have joined Trade Genius, which is the right thing. Some of y'all are studying and putting in the work, which is the right thing. So that eliminates the first equation, right? The first scenario where you're either doing something wrong, right? The other thing that's preventing you from success, if you're doing the right thing, it just means that you haven't been doing the right thing long enough, right? And I say that to say this, just because you're in the right community, just because you're learning the right strategy, just because you're doing all the right things right now, you may still have to endure a process of waiting, endure a process of having patience, a process of having faith and commitment to what it is that you say you desire. Just because you've joined Trade Genius, right? Now it happens for some people. Some people come in right away and it just clicks for them. But your journey, everybody's journey is going to be different. All right. And I just need y'all to realize that it's going to be the commitment to the vision through adversity, through the mountains, through the valleys, through the ups, through the downs, that's going to actually prove that you are worthy of what it is that you desire. The vision must be tested for authenticity, right? If we just got whatever we thought about the moment we thought about it, right? What value will you develop? What value does that bring to you? Because at the end of the day, material things get normal, money gets normal, everything you can get tired of. But one thing you don't get tired of, and one thing you don't take for granted, one thing that lasts with you forever is the person you become on your journey. And some of you guys have been trading so long, you've just decided that, look, I'm going to figure this thing out no matter how long it takes. I've already put in the time. I've already made the sacrifices necessary. And I tell you that's the right attitude to have. So many people put a deadline on their goals, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't want to have a goal accomplished by a certain date, but at the end of the day, your vision and your deadline might not be God's deadline. Maybe it's something else you got to learn. Maybe it's something else you got to develop. Maybe it's, a different passion or a different why. Maybe you want to be successful to prove to others when in reality you should only be doing this for yourself and for your family. Maybe God just want to shift your focus. Maybe he want to shift your purpose to a different direction, and then the door is going to open up for you. All right. I said that to say this, man. Like you gotta stay in the trenches. You gotta stay committed to the vision. You have to, right? That's what faith is. It's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Like I said, I'm not going to take y'all to church this morning, but again, I felt like the message was very applicable because trading is one of the things that require the most amount of faith. It's one of the things that require you to have the most spiritual grounding because this is not just a job that you show up to and you get paid every day. This is not something where you can use your charisma or your enthusiasm. You can use your good looks and all of that. You can't use none of that when it's just you and these charts. So your spirit has to be in alignment in order for you to become a successful trader, more so in this industry than probably any other industry in the world. And that's why it's one of the hardest things for so many people to conquer. But I want y'all to continue to have faith and continue to keep your vision at the forefront of your mind, regardless of what it is that you're going through. And if you can continuously do that, the doors are going to open up in the most vicarious ways and the most strangest ways. There's going to be things that happen that you can't even explain. And then you're going to know that there is a higher power. It is, whether it's the universe, God, whoever, whatever you believe, you got to believe in something in order to make it into this industry. Because this is such an unorthodox way of making money. Most people are used to working for their money, doing something physical for their money. So when you have to sit still at a desk and look at patterns to make money, it seems easy, but there's so much going on in your head. You have to be in alignment spiritually to make this thing work, right? So I say that all that to say this, man, make sure your spirit is right. It's no better day than today. It's Sunday. It's June 1st. So just with that being said, it's just a perfect time to really set some goals, set some precedent in your life of what it is that you're gonna do in order to reach your desires, right? We almost halfway through with the year already. So, no better time than now. First day of the month, it's kicking off a new week. Let's really get in alignment. Let's really get focused, and be more intentional this week than we've had in previous weeks, right? It's all about growth, 1% per day. That's one thing I challenge all of my members to do is to get 1% better per day. Win or lose, find time to study, find time to dedicate yourself, find time to do what you have to do. Because if you don't have the time now, you're not going to mysteriously come across the time later. If anything, time is just speeding up the older you get. So if you don't have the time to do something now, you're not going to miraculously find the time. So you got to find a way to make prioritize your skill set in trading. Because if time is going to pass you by anyway, Christmas going to come anyway, 6, 12, 18 months going to pass you by anyway, you might as well focus on putting yourself in a better position because you can't avoid it. You can't avoid whether it's not paying for a membership, you're gonna either gonna pay to learn or you're gonna pay life for not learning. And it's like you can't avoid the time that it takes to dedicate because either you're gonna put the time in or you're gonna have to spend your time doing something you don't want to do for the rest of your life. There's always gonna be a payoff. You have to, it's all like success is transactionary in so many different ways, right? In so many different ways. So you're gonna have to, put that sweat equity into this one way or another, and there's no shortcuts to success. You know what I'm saying? So with all that being said, like I said, I'm not gonna spend too much time doing mindset. I can get carried away. It's already been like 10, 12 minutes since I started my little rant, but we're gonna go ahead and dive straight into it. All right. So just kicking this thing off, I want to start with the Euro USD. Overall, we had a pretty solid week, I would say, on Euro USD. We kicked the week off with the sale on Tuesday, just following order flow. Very simple. We cleared external liquidity over here where, we came and swept these highs that I have my arrow here. And once that happened, I just simply looked for some sell signatures. We got a nice heavy crossover, retraced back into the fair value gap. That provided the first entry, but then this provided the second. And as I realized the market is just currently in a bearish order flow, all I looked for was a simple hezzy crossover to continue on the sell. Now, with that being said, what is it that the market is going to do this week? All right. Now, I have two somewhat conflicting biases, right? And this is where things can get a little choppy, things can get a little confusing, but I'm going to show y'all what it is that I'm going to look for personally, right? Now, obviously, this low, okay, this low did clear lows over here to the left. I see that 100%. It also gave us a nice strong reaction here. All right. And on top of that, it also gave us um what appears to be a hezzy crossover right there as well. All right. So with all of that being said, I feel like we can definitely look at this zone for a potential buy, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm an intraday trader. I execute on a 1 minute time frame. Just because I take a buy, it does not necessarily mean that I believe the market will make new highs, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because I do have to be mindful of the bearish hezzy crossover that I see right here, right? So if we just look closely, we do have hesitation off a previous area of demand where the market does create a strong high pattern, all right? Market does create a strong high as he crossover, retraces back into the fair value gap. Now the market is going bearish. So with that being said, I believe we can go bearish up until We reached this level. Okay. Now, obviously, the sell entry already introduced itself, but I believe that if the market was to retrace somehow, we could get back into that position. Okay. Just depending on what happens first. If the market can retrace a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, it don't have to retrace a lot. Just like it could realistically just, fill right here. And I do believe it'll roll over to the downside, giving us some, short term, I guess you can call it a scalp. Not really, but I guess you can call it a scalp. Take this trade down to internal range liquidity at least. That'll give us just about a 1 to 10 risk to award. That is something that I see because we do have weak lows resting right here. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't trust this low all that much. Okay. I believe that this point of interest will probably create a retracement of some sort and continue down. Now, the reason why I say that is ultimately because we do still have more internal range liquidity left over here as well. Now, I know what some of y'all gonna say. Well, Ray, didn't we clear the lows right here with this wick? Yeah, we did. We did. But there is so much liquidity left underneath. I'm curious to see if we'll continue to push back down yet again, right? So even with that wick, all right, I am curious to see if the market wants to come down, fill more of this imbalance, or even come down to fill this tiny gap right here, right? That's what I would like to see. All right, so I know everybody's looking at this area. I'm in belief that this area will cause a reaction, but I don't think it'll necessarily cause a new high just yet. All right, so I'm going to start the week off bearish on Euro USD. I'm going to secure most of my profit right here at this level, but I'm going to leave a little bit just in case the market wants to come recapture this low. Because again, I don't really see this as a very strong low. It has some characteristics, like we did sweep an old low here, and I do like that. But again, when I look at the move itself, right, I do see a long stop hunt that produced this big rally to the upside. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking to go long in this area, which is why I just believe that could be potentially a trap for us to go a little bit lower. All right. So that's something that I'm paying attention to. Again, if I get a proper reaction, will I take longs? Maybe. Right. However, I am anticipating that this continues a little more to the downside, either to this point of interest or even potentially down here at like 1.117. That looks good to me, 1.117, or, at least to this low right here at 1.121. All right, 1.121. I am moving fast because I got to go to IKEA today. But this call will be recorded. It is recorded. So I'll make sure I upload it as well. All right. GBP USD. For everybody that is in the community, by the way, I did produce a chart breakdown on this setup. If y'all remember, we did take this on Tuesday along with Euro USD. Euro USD was my primary focus, but understanding that they did have some currency correlation, this is something else that a lot of you guys took. That played out beautifully, about a 1 to 12, 1 to 11, somewhere around that ballpark. And again, if we can get a 1 to 10 out of every trade we take, it's pretty much statistically impossible for you to not make money, right? And we're not supposed to make guarantees as traders and stuff like that. But again, guys, like it's all about risk to reward. If you're flipping a coin and it lands on heads, you make 100, but it lands on tails, you lose 10. That's all we're doing every single day, right? And even if we take a few losses here and there, one win like this can equate to several losses, even if you're partialing out. At the worst case scenario, a win like this will probably equate to about 5, 6 losses, right? Now, if you have the guts to hold the whole way, Obviously, you get 1 to 10 type risk to reward trade setups, right? Now, with that being said, let me check the chat real quick. Excuse me. How is that a strong high for level wicks and no strong volume? Checking the chat real quick. Liquidity is what I'm paying attention to. To answer your question, you said how's that a strong high if there's no wicks or with the wicks and no strong volume? Okay, so we still cleared.
Was for that Euro chart.
Yeah, yeah, I
I was
understand.
just a little bit confused.
So you talking about this high, or are you talking about this high over here? Which high are you talking about?
The, the one you're currently looking for the sell, the first one you pointed to.
So this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking at it more from a perspective of when I have a sweep of a low, okay, I like to see I like to see a real aggressive sweep. I don't like these wicks at strong lows, right? I'll take the trade in the moment, don't get me wrong. But after the market makes its move and then it starts to come back down, I potentially look for this to be targeted liquidity, right? Similar to this, right? I ended up taking this the week before last because the wick swept internal liquidity here. So I knew it can give us a push up, but ultimately, eventually, I knew the market would come for that as well. So when I see a small wick grab previous lows, I don't look for it to necessarily hold long term, even if it produces a move to the upside. Now, your question specifically is these highs right here. Why do I trust those highs more than I trust this low? And primarily is because of where I'm leaving from, right? I'm leaving an area of a lot of liquidity that has been grabbed over here. See, I got this dollar sign right here for a reason. Now, let's go ahead and clear my chart up a little bit. So equal highs resting above here. Once the market came and took those equal highs, this essentially is the strong high for me that creates the downtrend. It's not this high, it's this one, right? So this high has volume within it. Obviously, you got these two big bullish candles, got big bearish candles. So this is the peak high of the down move that I'm looking for. This is really just a lower high continuation of the move that this high started. So until I reach all of the downside liquidity that I want, I'm going to trade continuations. I haven't reached all of the liquidity on the downside that I want. That is not enough in my opinion. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So be it. But considering the strength in this high, I look at this as just a lower high to continue the move that began up here. So when I look at again, we swept liquidity over here by about 35 pips above these old equal highs. Now, if I take the same measurement here, we swept these lows by about 7 pips. When I look at the high compared to the low, this high took more liquidity than this low, and now I'm looking for continuation. Okay. Does that make sense to you? Is that coming together a little bit?
Yeah, that makes way more sense now.
Okay, got you. I know I move a little fast. It's intentional. This is a weekly outlook. No disrespect to anybody else, but I do take my sweet time with my community. I can't give up all the sauce on a free call. It is what it is. No, like I appreciate y'all for tapping in, but just little stuff like that, like strength of the sweep in comparison to the highs and the lows. Little stuff like that are like the hidden, gems that, I'll give more freely on different types of calls. But it's a good question, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people, whether you tapping in for free or not. It's not the end of the world. Like I'm not here to gatekeep or nothing like that. But that is just one thing that I do go more in depth in my community, just strength of sweeps and stuff like that. Because I get it, it can be confusing, especially when both sides of the market are doing something similar. So but that is a good question. I'm sure it helped a lot of people. So thanks for asking it. Now let's taking a quick peek at Nas. Actually, let me finish with GU. I always go to Nas because it's like my favorite thing to trade right now. But I will finish up with GU. So far as GU is concerned, more continuations is what I see. All right. I want to see us come clear this low. And always look to the left. And I see weak lows over here. You know, this has the potential to be a strong low, but in likelihood, it's probably not. All right. It didn't create much displacement, much imbalance, right? So it didn't, sometimes you'll have these lows where they just sweep something to the left and take off. If it has a large imbalance, it's a little more trustworthy. But something like this, where the market pushes up, then the wick comes down immediately before it goes back up, that'll probably be future liquidity as well. So I believe we got a pretty decent continuation to the downside on GU. Will probably come target 130, 1.325. All right. Just give you a round number. 1.325. 1.325. All right. Y'all want to write that down. I'm looking for bearish continuations in order to come and seek those equal lows right there. Once we get down there, maybe we find something in here that can send us back up, but that's the bare minimum of what I'm looking to target this week, right? Now, obviously, the market has been super bullish just with, I guess, tariff announcements, dollar weakness. A lot of stuff has been sending these markets in a bullish rally. But overall, with the liquidity that we've grabbed to the left, I am seeking, a decent sell-off just due to all of the bullishness that we've been receiving lately. All right, not to go against the grain, but I am finally seeing some sell signals that could be beneficial for us. All right. So GBP CAD has been in crazy consolidation for quite a while. Look like it finally gave a decent move to the downside. Truth be told, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not very interested in this pair at the moment. I do see continued sell-off to target these lows down here. But past that, I'm not really interested. It's been super choppy, as y'all can see, for about the past month. It's been a month exactly. And this has been since May 1st to January 1st. This has been the price action. So it hasn't been beautiful by any means of the imagination, but it did give us a nice push down, which could create another leg to the downside. So if we can somehow retrace, I would be looking for something maybe here in that fair value gap to continue back down, possibly, right? That could be an option, or it could just retrace back up here and give you a sell above these highs, right? So if the market wants to look at these as relative equal highs, either the market can react from here and continue, or the market can come take those highs and continue selling from here, right? Those would be my two options for GBP CAD. GBP AUD hasn't been getting much burn from me lately, unfortunately, because it is a pair that I like, but it just has not been creating the price action necessary for me to enjoy it. So we're gonna skip over that. G Chef, similar thing, nice melt off, but now it's like we got to find reentry opportunities. When the market, and you'll see me scrolling through the pairs pretty quickly, it's because I'm really looking for one or two things. I'm looking for a retracement back into a point of interest, or on the downside or the upside. Really, I'm looking for the same thing on both sides of the market. I'm even looking for the market to retrace into an area. So in this instant, the area probably be like right here, right? This would be the only area within this range that I even slightly entertain, just because when I look at it, And I know I could look at this stuff quickly and see it super fast. I see the market push down, retrace up, or push up, hesitate, crossover bullish. I marked off the main area hesitation right here. So I'm either looking for the market to retrace into an area like that for a buy, or the same thing for a sell. Like I would like to see the market, you know, and I know I'm just giving a random example right here. It's not the best pair in the world, but maybe if the market was retracing here, then I could see something like that. But when I just see the market in the middle like this, neither on a sell side, neither on an area of supply or demand, it's just in the middle of no man's land. So these are the pairs that I tend to stay away from. So if you see me just skipping through something real fast, that's why, right? For example, there's another example, right? If I seen it retracing here, that could have been a potential sell. But now that the sale has already happened, I need to wait for it to come clear something significant for a potential buy. In this instant, this will probably be the significant buy. Again, hezzy, crossover bullish, little imbalance underneath it. That's probably the area that we could probably get a buy. So again, market is in the middle of no man's land. I don't really see much else for me to do other than wait. The market could give me a retracement of some sort and a continuation. But outside of that, I don't really see anything worth um, my time really on this particular setup, right? Like I wouldn't even take this. That's the only setup available on this pair. But if I had to choose, I'm gonna just look for something that looks a little better. So again, that's what's going through my mind whenever I'm just speeding through these pairs really quick.
Hey, Big Ray, real quick. Are
Yeah.
you suggesting that we're gonna have a lot of weakness towards the pound, the GBP?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, potentially. That's what I'm looking for at this moment. At least on GU. The other pairs, maybe they do something else, but so far as GU is concerned, I am expecting the market to continue down. I don't think that this area of demand is going to send the market higher. So market only moving in two directions. If I don't see this being a buy, then I just see a sell continuing. So I'm looking
Mhm.
for the market to sell off. Oops, sorry. Looking for the market to continue to sell off and fill in some of this, and target some of these weak lows down here. Once we reach, some lower prices, then I could see something happening. But for the time being, yeah, I do see bearishness on on pound pairs right across the board for the most part. I do see, some bearishness on pound pairs. Even on G Swiss, we, clear highs. You even get some variation of a hezzy crossover here. Market hesitates, crosses over, comes, takes it out. So you see supply is maintaining control. So I do see the supply chain developing right here. You know, lows that we're targeting. Potential targets here as well. So yeah, I do see bearishness on the pound across the board, right? Take a quick peek at the DXY. I don't check this often, if I'm being honest, but you know, now this is how I caught the Euro USD sell uh last week, right? I caught the buy the week before last. We caught Euro USD buys because of this right here. I knew that the DXY would be bearish until we reached this level, right? So that's when we caught those Euro USD buys. And then once we reached this level here, this is the reason I took Euro USD sales, right? Because these DXY and Euro USD move inversely of each other. So considering that we did come hit this level, we created a strong low over here, all right? We made a hezzy right there, crossover bullish, all right? Hezzy crossover. And now we came back to take out the hezzy. Now that we took out the hezi, I'm expecting continuations on the DXY to the upside, right? Now, my next target on the DXY is at the very least this right here, all right? Now, it could go higher. For all we know, it could come target this up here, right? I would actually like to see that. I'd actually like to see the DXY come all the way up here if we could, right? So me seeing bullishness on the DXY is another part of why I see weakness on GBP pairs and Euro pairs, all right? So hopefully that's giving y'all a little bit more context, all right? I don't check the DXY often. I don't need to, but that's good for anybody that may be, wondering why, I have the directional bias that I have right now, all right? So this, honestly, I don't really like this. I don't like this price action. I'm not going to force that. We're going to skip right on over that. And this is the thing about these consolidating pairs, right? You'll get a move right here and then knock you right out and then continue. And that's just unfortunately just because of the consolidation that we're experiencing on pairs like this. But ultimately, my target is still the same. This has been my target now for about 3 weeks, just dealing with all of this consolidation dating back to late April, the beginning of March, or beginning of May, excuse me. I predicted the market would come sweep these lows where the market consolidated, which we got, right? As the market pushed back up, I didn't like the way it pushed back up because I didn't really see, clear hezi crossovers within the bullishness. So now I'm like, okay, we're gonna return bearish. So if I like the zone, but I don't like the low, I look for an ace entry. Okay. So I believe that Euro CAD will keep dropping to take out this low right here. And once we reach that area, I was thinking maybe the market could go bullish, but I kind of just feel like it's gonna go more bearish than anything. Right. So I feel like we're gonna target this low. And at this point, we'll probably target these lows as well, just because of how long the market was taking. It was like, all right, if we're bullish, we should be, pushing up aggressively, right? But the fact that it is moving so corrective, I would not be surprised at all to see further continuations bearish for this whole entire week on EuroCAD. All right. So right now, the first target on EuroCAD would be 1.548. All right, 1.548. And then here is 1.533. All right. Once we get below that low, we may be able to adjust and look at something else. But for the time being, that's what I see for this week. All right. We already went over Euro USD. This pair is a absolute mess. One of the nastiest pairs I've ever seen right now. So we're not gonna mess with that. And I don't trade Euro GBP anyway. But I somehow predicted that buy back in February, right? Again, when the market starts to consolidate right above a point of interest like this, that's the key giveaway. And I'm not to try to go to something that's super, late. Hold on, y'all. There's somebody drawn on the screen. I'm not gonna assume it was on purpose, but try to refrain from that. When you see the market starting to consolidate like that above a zone, you wait for the market to push down one more time, then you buy, right? Now, so far as this is concerned, like I said, I don't really trade Euro GBP, so I'm not gonna get really held up on that. But we'll come over and take a look at Nas, all right? So Nas has been very bullish lately. pretty much the entire sell-off from Trump getting into office and tariffs and all of that has been just about, regained. At least like 80% or so. Let me see. So the stock market, wow, that's about a 90. My math ain't great. So 26%, and now it's at 1%. Okay, so yeah, that's about if I'm not mistaken, that's about a 95% increase since the market dropped. So we've almost regained. I'm gonna just round it out. Say we've regained about 90% of what the market fell from previously, right? So when the market was at its highs and it tanked, it's already rebounded about 90%. All right, which is a good thing. All right, markets are back. So with that being said, I want to be bullish on this. However, I can't ignore if I'm just looking at the technicals by itself. I can't ignore this large fair value gap we have on the daily chart. And I'll clean this up just a little bit. I got lots of markings here. Let's see if I got a clean chart. Hold on. All right, bet. This one's a lot more clean. So I can't ignore, the little fair value gap that we have here on the daily. All right. Might even see a little better on the weekly. It's just more of like a buy to sell candle on the weekly. All right, I can't ignore that. Right. We have spent about 3 weeks in this area, but we failed to close higher than the week previously, right? So this week here, the market pushed up, closed. Week here, closed. Third week, closed. So we spent about 3 weeks in the same vicinity, right? More like 2 weeks because 3 weeks ago the market started down here. So I'm not going to really count this first week, but let's just say the last 2 weeks, the market hasn't really moved much. So with that being said, I do believe we can probably get a sell-off, and a sell-off would be to clear out previous week's low. All right. So I would be paying close attention to like 20,670. All right. 20,670. Now this market is definitely bullish. As you can see, every time the market drops off, I've been saying this for years. Every time there's a sell-off, you need to buy. Most of y'all probably see me on Instagram saying buy, 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 right? Don't let all this fear mongering, don't let the news, don't let the shade room, don't let nobody tell you otherwise. The market will not crash. I'm telling you right now, the market will not crash because worst case scenario is it's just a better positioning for everyday people to buy stock, right? And that's exactly what happened. So now the market is very still much bullish, but since we're running into that old zone right here, I believe that we can get something like that, and then we'll finally go and make our new highs. Now, you got to take into consideration Trump is the president. He can tweet at any moment, and that tweet can destroy my technical analysis. So, I can't make you no guarantees that this is going to happen, but this is what I see. With this happening, who knows? We may just come and fill this gap in. I'm not a big fan of gaps, be honest. Like, I don't live and die by them like some people do. But, if it aligns with the technicals, it aligns with the technicals. That's what I go off of, right? So with this, now we can like really come with our framework. I'm expecting bearishness and then a bullish continuation. Now that I got that, I'm gonna go ahead and create my narrative on the 4 hour, where we have a clear sweep of liquidity here. We got highs that cleared out this previous triple top. or we know it was money being built up right here, right? So now that the money's been grabbed, now we're gonna focus on what's happening right here in front of us. Has he crossover? All right. Do have to be mindful of this though. All right. I am being mindful of this. I do like this fair value gap. I will be honest. I do like it. I do like it indeed. But again, high swept by a lot, low swept by not that much. Okay. So as good as this fair value gap looks, I believe it'll probably just come up to fill in something up here and then potentially sell off again. All right. That's pretty much what I see. And then once we get that, we find our way down here somewhere. That's when I believe we'll get the real big buy, right? Because I don't think that that daily fair value gap or that weekly zone will only give us this, right? I don't think that's enough considering where we just left. Considering the zone that we're in, I don't believe that's a steep enough sell-off. All right. So I'm gonna wait for a little bit more aggressive sell-off. A lot of people are looking at this low. I believe this low will be a trap ultimately. All right. So once that trap gets exploited, we get underneath these lows as well. Then I'm gonna start positioning myself for the potential buys, right? Whether it's in the gap, so be it. But this is how I'm starting the week off. Just my personal opinion. One more thing. One more thing. I'm gonna see if anybody knows, right? Outside of just looking at the higher time frame, outside of that, what is it about this push up? What is it about this push up that kind of has me apprehensive to trust it? Does anybody know? Like, there's something that I teach often. When I'm analyzing the push up, there's something in this push that tells me, or at least, gives me a higher probability, because ain't nothing 100%. But something in this push up is telling me whether or not we'll get a higher low in the continuation, or if it's just going to do this and continue down. What about that push up tells me that? Fake sales until all internal. That's a good answer. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Until all internal liquidity. That's a good answer, but that's if you're looking at all of this as well. I'm just talking about just look at this. Don't even care. I don't even care about internal liquidity to the left. Let's just look at this. What about that push up tells me I think we're still bearish? No hezzy. No hezzy. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. All right. That is the right answer. So I know what y'all gonna say, but Ray, ain't this a hezzy? Ain't this a hezzy? Like, not really. Like we gotta, everything don't qualify as a hezzy. Like, Ray, ain't this a hezzy? Not really, right? Not really. Is to me, it's just a push up, right? It just looks like a push up to me. Even on this time frame, it just looks like a push up. There's not a real defined hezzy. There's a difference between a hezzy and just, the market just creating candles. I don't qualify this as a hezzy. So in that, it's another situation to where now If it's not a strong low hezzy crossover, that means it just has to be a future target because the market can only go in two directions. So either this is a strong protected low or it's a future target. There's no other alternative, right? There's no other alternative. Now these, that's a hezzy, that's a hezzy. Now all of this, that's a hezzy, that's a crossover. All of this is a hezzy, right? These little nicks right here in the market, I don't qualify that as a hezzy, right? Now, if I wasn't anticipating the market going lower, if we already cleared out all the sell side liquidity necessary, then possibly, right, I could compromise a little bit if we had already cleared out all the liquidity to the left. The fact that we haven't cleared all of this out to the left, I'm gonna be very strict on the price action in this in this little range right here. I gotta be more strict because I'm already, if I were to take a buy, I'd already be gambling on the fact that we still got lows to the left. Now, if we clear out everything, then I can go to the 1 minute, start finding little hezzies and stuff, because now it's imperative that I find a continuation, or else I'm gonna miss the entire move. But the fact that there's still sell side potential, I'm not gonna force myself to see something that ain't there when it's a higher probability for this to be the hezzy right here. All right. And for this to be the fair value gap that we respect to move further to the downside. All right. Because this is for sure strong high. This is for sure a hezzy crossover. And that's where, again, it's easy to get lost in the sauce, but you got to go with the one that sticks out to you more. The one that looks better is the one I'm going to trade. The one that's happening on a higher time frame is the one I'm going to trade, right? So the fact that we have a for sure hezzy right here, followed by a crossover, I'm going to follow this one before I zoom in and try to find this one in here, right? Go with the one, the big brother is always the higher time frame. Big brother used to bully little brother, push him around, stuff like that, right? That's what's happening right here, right? This is the bigger picture. So I'm not going to force this one. Again, I can go to the lower time frame and do surgery and find these little tiny hezzies only if it aligns with the bigger picture. It don't align with the bigger picture yet. So I'm looking for reasons for it to fail, not for it to succeed. All right. All right. So that looks good. I like that. Um, that's something I'm gonna definitely probably take. Hopefully it waits. Excuse me. Hopefully it waits until hopefully it waits until what is it? Until London, not London, excuse me, New York session. I just had a brain freeze, my bad. Hopefully it waits until New York session tomorrow, but if it happens for London, I'll probably end up taking this sell. But ultimately, this is where I want to take the sell. It's 21476. Check your broker though, because depending on what you trading, depending on the broker you trading, the price can be different. All right. So what I want you to do is just take a mental image of this and figure out whatever price it is on your chart that you trade on your broker, right? So that's that. All right. So indices, we just about wrapping it up here. I really just look at NAS. Sometimes I look at S&P as well. Pretty much see the same thing there. Sometimes I don't really mess with US 30, so I'm not gonna really waste no time there. But yeah, guys, for the most part, that's about it. Bitcoin, obviously cryptocurrency. I mean, you should probably be a buyer. I did get, a little word from somebody that they're expecting massive sells, and this guy had 73 Bitcoins that he just swapped to USDT. So, and he's a firm believer that we're gonna get one more massive sell-off before the real bull run. Now, if it happens, it happens. I'm not gonna be mad at that one bit. If that does happen, you see where the targets could be, right? You see where the weak consolidation, where the weak lows are. Maybe the market wants to find its way back to the 80s, maybe 90s, and push back up. I don't know. I'm not much of a crypto guy like that, But one thing I do want to point out, guys, um, before we hop off today, I am doing a challenge this week. All right. I am doing a challenge this week, and I'm just gonna drop it all in the chat real quick. It ain't the best flyer in the world. I was kind of rushing. I've been busy as hell. Business is booming, but I prayed for it, so I ain't complaining. But $100 trading challenge, right? Begins today. Begins today. If you guys are not in the community, I highly recommend you guys tap in. I'm going to be doing a $100 trading challenge, all right, to see what it is we could take this thing to. Our risk to reward is phenomenal. We've been sniping the markets, and I just want to put myself to the challenge, to the test. Now, if you guys want to participate in this, right, definitely got to tap in to the community. But one thing I would do is if you want a little bonus, right, if you want a little bonus, come hit this link, right? And most of y'all should be in this chat anyway, because this chat is open to everybody. This is not just my VIP community. Hanko will give you an extra 200% bonus, right? 200% deposit bonus if you follow the instructions right here. Now, this will require you to use ActTrader, okay? So if you guys want to use ActTrader, you can do that. Now, if you want an extra little bonus, go ahead and do it. If you want to use Trade Locker, I would use Paradise Markets, okay? Paradise Markets, I know the ownership. I feel solid, and I feel like I could trust the people that I'm doing business with, all right? If you want to
How
use
the spreads with them?
the spreads are much better than the previous broker I was going with. So I know I had you guys using NCW and nothing against them, but their spreads are not good unless you have a VIP account. All right. And that has a minimum deposit of $1,000. And I know everybody doesn't have that to start with. So unless you have that to start with, your spreads will be affected. Now, if I'm taking a trade with a 7 pip stop loss, I cannot afford to give 3 or 4 pips back to spread. That will get me stopped out early. So this is the reason why I found alternatives for you guys. Henko Trade has damn near no spreads. Paradise has very tight spreads, raw spreads, and CoinX as well has very, very tight spreads for all my MT5 traders. All right. So if you guys are not in this Discord, right? I believe there's a way to get free access. I don't know. I gotta check. I haven't opened it up freely in so long. If you're not already in it, I'm not sure. I gotta like create another link or something. But if you need help getting, choosing the right broker, feel free to DM me, shoot me a message, hit me on Instagram, shoot me a text, whatever, and I'll get you guys situated. I have the owner of CoinX on a first name basis. Like I have him on speed dial. Broker's been around for about 8 years. I trust the leadership, trust the ownership. Hanko Trade, same thing. Honestly, if I was a new trader, I'd probably go with Hanko because the app is so smooth. The app is beautiful. App Trader is a very, very, very nice app. And if MetaTrader wasn't muscle memory for me, I'd probably be using ActTrader full time, right? I really like ActTrader a lot. So you do have to download ActTrader in your app store. That's how you're going to get access to use Hanko, right? And again, if you follow these instructions right here, this is how you're going to get a deposit bonus, okay, on top of what you put in. So obviously you can't withdraw the bonus. It just gives you extra capital to trade. That's all it does. And again, if you guys use Trade Locker, I personally don't, but I know a lot of you guys do because it shows you how much you're risking, how much you're going to make, all of that. It's really good for new traders as well. I would use Paradise Markets. They have very fast withdrawals and they have tight spreads. Again, Next Trade Wave, not to try to shit on them or anything, but their spreads are not good if you don't have a VIP account. So that is something to keep in mind. VIP accounts have a minimum deposit of $1,000. I understand some of you guys just have a couple hundred to trade with. So that's that. Again, I'm going to be sending a lot more signals, guys, right? I do a lot of live trading, a lot of live trading. But for this $100 challenge, I'm going to be shooting signals like I'm Steph Curry. I'm shooting every day. I'm shooting 10 signals out, maybe not 10. That might be a little much. But I'm shooting a lot of signals into the trade ideas and signals chat. All right. Because I want all of us to turn up. I want all of us to eat. Right. As you can see, we've had trades that have done really well. We don't win every single time. I hit stop loss too. But when your entries are on point, your stop losses are minimum, you can afford, a few losses every now and then. The goal is to really show y'all that risk to reward is king. And, we keep showing up, doing what we do. We keep getting trades like this, and everything is going to pan out. We all going to make money. We all going to have a blast, and we're going to light this profits chat up this week. I'm super excited. Shout out to all y'all that have been, dropping your profits, dropping your results in the chat. Continue to do that. Continue to show the people what we have here at Trade Genius is truly special. But other than that, guys, that is all I have for today. $100 trading challenge starts today. So again, go into the recommended broker tab, fund up today. I'm shooting signals tonight, and we're going crazy all week. All right. Any other comments, questions, or concerns, family? Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Check the chat real quick. Okay, got you. Yes. Well, Hanko, they have a built-in calculator. All right. So let me actually I'll do this real quick. Give me 1 second. I have all of the links. Well, I'll just copy it. So I don't have to find it in my notes. But I'll copy and I'll drop them in the Zoom call so you guys don't have to, wait to find it. But yeah, if you guys want to use Henko, again, they do give you a deposit bonus, all right? Deposit bonus, which is very, very powerful, all right? Let's see. So the link is right there in the chat, guys. Go ahead and hit that. Create an account. Create an account, and let's turn up. All right. Now, in order to get the bonus, I will drop those instructions in the chat as well. I probably should have just did the whole thing. That would have made sense. Oh, sorry about that. So here are the entire instructions, okay? Create live account, select ECN. The only thing to get the bonus, you do have to select 1 to 200 leverage. It's not bad, but you're not going to be able to go crazy. It's not 1 to 500. If you want to keep 1 to 500, you can select that, but you will not get the bonus. So the bonus is contingent on 1 to 200 leverage. That's the only caveat, all right? If you guys want to use Trade Locker, I will drop this as well, all right? I understand a lot of you guys love Trade Locker. I love Trade Locker, right? So Paradise Markets is what I am using and promoting for Trade Locker, right? Now, again, if you guys like MC5, I personally suggest these guys because they have the best spreads. Now, NCW, they do have, if you want to trade indices and whatnot, you may need a little bit more capital for CoinEx. Now, if you want to put a little bit of money in, you can use Next Trade Wave. That will work. Again, if when it just comes to Forex pairs, the spreads are a little crazy unless you have $1,000 to put into a VIP account. But yeah, those are my brokers. I know I offer a few. I offer a few just to be compliant. If I have options for you guys, I'm not technically doing anything wrong, right? Anybody that promotes one broker and one broker only, not to say anybody's right or wrong. I'm not even saying it'll ever, anything will ever happen. but it's just in order to be compliant, you are supposed to give in the eyes of the FTC and all of that good stuff, you are supposed to give a few options, right? So that's why I do give you guys multiple options. Whatever you feel like is best for you and your personal situation, feel free to go ahead and use, all right? But I'm looking forward for this week, man. Trading challenge. Make sure you guys are tapped in. I know a lot of y'all are watching. Make sure you fund it up. Follow my lead, and I'm going to lead y'all to profits, all right? Follow my lead. I got y'all. I'm going to make sure everybody eats, and we're going to turn this thing up, and I'm looking forward to seeing who turns up with this challenge, all right? So let's do this thing. I appreciate y'all yet again. Love y'all, man. And I will see y'all in my community. I will see y'all tomorrow morning. Everybody's tapping in from the free chat. I'll see y'all next week, all right? See you guys at the top from the top. The bottom is way too crowded. Until next time. Peace.
Let's get it.